The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question for the United States is what's in our national interest.
Hey guys, my name is John, and the International Criminal Court is back in session. It is June 8th, 2026, and today we are going to discuss quite a sensitive topic, and that is Venezuela. Now, unlike the other videos I have done on this channel, Venezuela directly involves my home country. And yes, folks, as you can guess by my accent, I am from the United States of America. On January 3rd, 2026, right after the start of the year, which is 2026, we decided that enough was enough, and we captured Nicolas Maduro in the city of Caracas, which is the capital and largest urban area in all of Venezuela. We apparently captured the international airport in Caracas. Well, on the outskirts of it, that is. I think you have to go through these mountains here in order to get to it, but you get what I'm trying to say here. But yeah, we took the airport for a bit. We went straight into Caracas and basically kidnapped the president of Venezuela. I wish I was kidding about this. We literally kidnapped the guy and shipped him off all the way to, like, fucking New York City, where we're currently putting him on trial for drug trafficking charges. Because allegedly, Venezuela was helping out all of these Central or South American cartels to get their drugs from this part of the world all the way to the United States, where their customers would be waiting, because everyone knows that the United States of America loves drugs. Again, I wish I was kidding about this, because the United States right now, as we speak, currently has a major drug problem. And a lot of people are dropping dead because of that. And people believe, for some reason, that the main culprit responsible for all those deaths is Venezuela. Now, I beg to disagree. You see, the thing you got to understand about Venezuela, and it's quite simple, to be honest, is that they are home to the largest reserve in petroleum. Fossil fuels, that is. Oil. 300 billion barrels. Or 300 million, I think. Again, it doesn't really matter, like, how much oil they have. They literally are the home to the biggest collection of oil there is in the entire planet. And for that reason alone, what can I say? They are an easy prey, like an easy target for the United States. And for some reason, a lot of people thought that the United States' rivals, like China and Russia, were going to come to Venezuela's rescue. And let me tell you this right now as an American. That was never going to happen. China and Russia are not only an ocean away from trying to save their ally here in Caracas, but also, this is the Americas that we're talking about. And the United States claims superiority over the Americas, North and South America. And for those who don't remember, we have this little thing called the Monroe Doctrine, which essentially gives us the excuse to do whatever the hell we want with all of these countries. Like, if they go out of line, like, for example, if they were housing Russian, Chinese, or Persian bases, we would take them out. And as a result, the United States would change their regimes or kill their leaders for trying to go against us. And that was exactly what we did partially in Venezuela. We went in there, kidnapped the president, took him to New York, and we're going to put him on trial. And if he were to be convicted, he's probably going to ADX Florence, where he'll end up sharing a cell with El Chapo. Now, I will say that the whole Venezuela thing is crazy because a lot of people thought that this was all going to end up with Donald Trump chickening out again, because we all know he loves to talk tough and do nothing after that. But it seems this time around he was actually serious, and what do you know, he gets Maduro literally with ease and takes him to the U.S. Now, the current regime in Venezuela, which Maduro and Hugo Chavez, who was his predecessor, by the way, is still in power. They have not been toppled, despite the U.S.'s threats to topple it, like for real. And as far as I know, things seem to be calming down just a bit in the last couple of days since Maduro was captured. And also, it appears that none of the other major cities in Venezuela are in any danger whatsoever of being taken over by the United States, let alone rebelling or something like that against the Maduro government. And the new president is a woman named Delcy Rodriguez, who is a devout follower of Hugo Chavez, the legendary, charismatic socialist leader of Venezuela, who died 13 years ago from cancer. Now, if you ask for my personal opinion on Nicolas Maduro, I don't really care too much for him, and to be honest, I have a very complex perspective of him. In fact, I think he's kind of a joke, though I do admire his ability to trash talk the United States, and to do so in a very goofy and funny way. But that's all he has, humor. He's otherwise just some bus driver that got lucky one day, and he was able to stay in power for the last, nearly 13 years. Maduro, when compared to Hugo Chavez, is like night and day. I think Maduro is a joke. Chavez was the man. A lot of people in Latin America loved him, though at the same time hated him because he was a socialist. And it seemed like he was going to become the man after Fidel Castro, like the new leader of the Latin American left. But as you guys know by now, he died in 2013, and Maduro took his place. And so far, I would say he has not lived up to that man's legacy. And if anything, he harmed Venezuelans more than anything when compared to Hugo Chavez himself, because I believe that guy was just genuinely trying to help out his countrymen. But Maduro, I don't really know about him. So yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen with Venezuela next, but all I can say is that Maduro is gone, at least for now, because some people think he's going to get acquitted, which would then in turn mean he could be returned to his home country. But at this moment, he's locked up in a U.S. jail, awaiting trial, and his people that are still in power right now in Venezuela are awaiting their fate, because nothing is assured yet. Donald Trump has threatened to topple Delcy Rodriguez too, but after what happened with Maduro, I feel like the Venezuelans are going to be a little more careful next time. I think they're also going to probably capitulate to the U.S.'s demands in some shape or form, but we'll just have to wait and see. And also, there was a report of a alleged oil tanker that had the Russian flag flying on it that was captured by the U.S. Coast Guard, somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. And it had, a bunch of Ukrainians, working on that ship. And they all got arrested because of that. But people think it's an embarrassment for Russia. And as a result, they're no longer a superpower. But I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Russia, in its current form, is not a superpower. They're at best a middle power. And there's a reason why they're fighting in Ukraine. It's because they want to earn that status back. They will not be anything until they get Ukraine. It's that simple. And also, they cannot do anything here because the U.S. is keeping a watchful eye on all these regimes here in South America. And as you all know by now, there has been another change in government too in Chile, which is very right-wing, pro-Trump. And because of that, I think it's only a matter of time before we see Lula in Brazil go bye-bye himself. Not by a coup d'etat by any chance, but rather with the use of a paper ballot. Brazil's going to have an election, I think, this year, and so far the polls are not looking quite certain yet, but Lula is kind of in a very iffy situation because the opposition is still trying to figure out on how they can vote out Lula without trying to destabilize the country again, because Bolsonaro is in prison and is not going to be out until like sometime in the next decade, because he's in there, I think, for treason and insurrection against the government. And also, we got Argentina down here. Javier Milei, very pro-Trump, super libertarian. You got Ecuador. You got El Salvador with Nayib Bukele. You got also Colombia, which is leftist, but I think they're going to probably either capitulate or maybe get regime changed themselves. You also have Honduras somewhere around here. Yeah, they just elected a right-wing government themselves into power. So yeah, Donald Trump is on a winning streak in this part of the world. But this is to be expected considering that this is the U.S.'s backyard. And if anything were to happen here, they would make sure, like, by all means necessary, that it wouldn't fall into the hands of Russia or China. So that's going to do it for today's video, everybody. I hope you all found it interesting, entertaining, and somewhat informative if you liked it. And I hope to see you all next time. Stay safe out there, and peace out. Bye-bye.